Hey there, Knicks fans. The NBA season does not let an injury rule out your bet. Other sportsbook let injuries box you out, but Fanatics Sportsbook's fair play protects all bets from first half injury. So if your player goes out with an injury, Fanatics keeps your bet on the court. Make the switch and get more ways to win with Fanatics Sportsbook. Winning, it's different here. Vegas, baby. Here we come. You know what time it is? It's NBA Cup time. All right. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. It is your boy, Jonathan Macri, here with you for what essentially is a third time is the charm postgame, because the Knicks, as I've noted several times over the last couple weeks, they are the only team in the NBA to have made this NBA Cup quarterfinals thing all 3 years of its existence. And yet they have not only have they not gotten a win before tonight, they came out of their previous two Cup quarterfinals games with two of the more dispiriting losses for very different reasons, but dispiriting nonetheless. Well, that shit ended tonight because the Knicks got themselves a 117-101 win against a Toronto Raptors team that, yes, has now lost, I think, 4 in a row. So they're on a losing streak. They're down a little bit. And yes, they are down not one but two key players who we, of course, are very familiar with here in New York, in RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley. But this Raptor team, who plays in, I would say, one of the best, in front of one of the best home crowds in the sport. They are always keyed up there. The whole "We the North" thing it's a thing. It's a real thing. They came out of the gate absolutely keyed up. And they were, 39 points in the first quarter. They were ready to give the Knicks everything that they could handle on both ends of the floor. And I think you knew from the opening couple of minutes that this was not going to be an easy night. And despite the fact that the final score ended up being, a margin of victory by 16 points, I do not think this was an easy night. Not all double-digit victories are created equal, and there was nothing about this one that I thought came easy for the Knicks. And certainly, I don't think the Toronto Raptors, give or take a stretch in the second quarter that we are going to talk about very shortly, I don't think the Toronto Raptors made this one easy for the Knicks, which is why, yes, in part because it is an NBA Cup quarterfinal game, and, I don't know how much this meant, in terms of different from a regular game to the players. They're all going to say the right things. Did it actually matter to them more than a regular game? We have no way of knowing that. I'm sure, again, it meant something more to them than a regular game. But this was one of the best wins of the season for the Knicks, both in how they did it, both in terms of what it meant, and frankly, to just keep the momentum going on a season that is suddenly starting to pick up steam. Kind of came out of nowhere. The Knicks have now won 8 out of 9 games. They are 10 games over 500 for the first time this season. These are all of the signs that you want to see in a basketball team that, yes, is absolutely the Eastern Conference frontrunner, despite what everybody and their mother outside of New York seems to want to say and believe. We are going to get into all of that in a moment. But first, I want to give a quick shout out. Now that we have officially made the Eastern Conference semifinals, that would be nice. Just get past the next 4 months. Made the NBA Cup semifinals. We are having a watch party for this event. Yes, this will be held at Penn 6, which is right down the block from Madison Square Garden. It is on West 31st Street, 132 West 31st is the exact address. This is going to be on Saturday. Of course, there is free admission. There is a registration link if you do want to register for the watch party. That would help us out greatly, so we have an idea of how many people are coming. Mark, if you want to maybe copy and paste that link and put it or maybe pin it in the chat. So if anybody's looking to come out on Saturday, tip-off for this game is going to be at 5:30 p.m. So the watch party will start at 5 p.m. For, I should say, the actual matchup, Knicks versus Magic. So, and I think it's, we're not putting the cart before the horse. We'll talk about the Magic a little bit later, but This is a real rivalry now between the Knicks and Orlando. So the fact that it is, for the right to go to the Cup Finals, a game between these two teams that have obviously played each other a lot already this season, have played each other hard this season. Knicks coming off a very good win. So come out to Penn 6 on Saturday, and it's going to be a great time. Food and drink specials, by the way, and giveaways all night. Lots of good stuff, and we'll be announcing more of that over the coming days. Okay, great stuff. Thank you, Sean, with a W, by the way, for setting that up, and for Mark for getting the graphic. Okay, let's talk about this game because out of the gate, I don't know about anybody else, but I was having flashbacks. I was having flashbacks to, again, not that this was playing out exactly like the Bucks game from 2 years ago, but you remember the Bucks came into that game and that was more because of their 3-point shooting. I thought in this game, Toronto, yes, they came out shooting the ball very well. And Brandon Ingram in particular came out making everything. I think he had 17 points in the first quarter. But it wasn't just the shooting from Toronto. They were everywhere. They were all over the floor. They were cleaning up on the offensive glass. They were generating turnovers. It's pretty rare. And shout out to Fred Katz, by the way, who had a fantastic article today for The Athletic that was focused on offensive rebounding. But he mentioned a statistic that he actually invented. He's very proud of that, so I'm going to shout him out. A statistic he invented called net chances, I think, net scoring chances, at which the Knicks came into tonight leading the league in. They were getting more scoring chances over their opponents, or by a greater margin, basically, than anybody else in the league. So to see the Raptors come out in the first quarter and attempt 6 more field goals and 2 more free throws was a bit of a shock to the system. And there was a 9-0 run in there. There was some couple of silly Cat fouls. Cat looked like he, and it was weird because they announced before the game that Cat was not in the starting lineup. And then, of course, he did start the game. So you were wondering, well, how healthy is Karl-Anthony Towns? Are they going to be able to depend on him in this game? So there was a lot of stuff going Toronto's way. And you had the sensation that, like, oh, my God, is this going to be a third straight Cup quarterfinal loss? So the Knicks going to get run out of this building. The crowd was going crazy. And what happens? Jalen Brunson says, not tonight. Look, the legend of Brunson is so lengthy at this point that it's forget into the double digits. I mean, we're in the just regular season games alone, we're in like the 20s in terms of absolutely like memorable performances that just make us sit back and appreciate the fact that we had waited so long for a guy like this who seems to always show up when they need him in the way that they need him. And Jalen Brunson in the first quarter scored 20 points, and it felt like he missed. Did he miss a shot? Did he miss 2 shots? I should have written that down. I don't have that in front of me. And he single-handedly kept this thing from being. I mean, if Jalen Brunson has an average first quarter, are the Raptors up by 15 points? I mean, they were up by 4, as it were, 39-35. And, I was a little, I think we were all a little bit annoyed at the Knicks, like coming out maybe a step slow, maybe being like, man, come on. Why are these guys playing with the urgency? They're like, hey, a trip to Vegas is on the line. And you guys are, everybody other than Brunson, really coming out where it just wasn't there. But Jalen Brunson kept him in it. 4-point game going into the second quarter. And that led to, was it the best quarter of New York's season? That's the question that I want to pose to everybody right now. Was the second quarter against Toronto, when they came off of a first quarter in which they gave up 39 points, and went to a second quarter in which they gave up 13 points. So a third as many points. And they scored almost as many. They scored 34 in the second compared to 35 in the first, except it was not the Jalen Brunson show because Jalen Brunson only scored 6 points in the second quarter. It was just, I mean, there's no other way to say it. It was a two-way masterpiece. I certainly think for me, just off the dome, like, yeah, they have had, second quarters where they have maybe scored more points, certainly, or just quarters where they have scored more points. I mean, the first quarter against Utah the other, last week was insane. But given the quality of the competition, given the fact that the Raptors crowd was as just absolutely on fire as it was, and given the fact that they did this and they had this second quarter when they are not at full strength, because remember, they did not have Deuce McBride tonight. They did not obviously have Landry Shamet tonight, and they are still dealing with some depth issues. So I thought really all the way on down, like you started out, you saw, and I thought it was a great move by Mike Brown to go to because he knew he was going to have to push Brunson in this game. He knew he was going to have to ride Brunson until the fourth quarter. He knew he was going to play him a lot of minutes. So this game was all about surviving the non-Brunson minutes. So how did he survive the non-Brunson minutes? He's like, well, I'm going to just put the rest of my starters out there, and I'm going to put a guy that is really starting to make a little bit of a name for himself here in New York in Tyler Kolek. It's been up and down, but I thought Tyler Kolek gave them some nice minutes out of the gate. Just all he had to do was hold the fort. And I would actually argue that he did a little bit more than hold the fort. And I thought he played really well at the start of the second quarter with, again, the other four starters. And then from there, I don't know which way you want to go. I'm going to go to Cat because first quarter Cat, not good. Not what you want. Not what you want in any way, shape, or form. I honestly will watch that the first quarter from Cat, and I'm like, man, this does not look like a guy who is ready to play. Second quarter Cat, 7 points, 8 rebounds in the second quarter, played almost the entire second quarter, was 3 of 5 from the field. I thought he had a block and a steal, and that's the thing I was going to get to. For as good as he was on offense, and he was good on offense in the second quarter, that might have been the best defensive quarter. Not might have been. That was the best defensive quarter that Karl-Anthony Towns has played this season. It's the best defensive quarter I can remember him playing since the fourth quarter against Detroit in game 1 of the playoffs last year. It was that impressive. He was moving his feet. He wasn't committing any silly fouls. He was everywhere he needed to be and nowhere he didn't need to be, which is just as important. It was overall an outstanding two-way quarter from Karl-Anthony Towns. But he is the lead. He is not the entire story because New York's entire team stepped up on defense. And look, they played a lot of guys in the second quarter. I mean, Cat led the way with a little over 10 minutes. OG Anunoby, almost 10 minutes played in the second quarter. Mikal Bridges, 10.5 minutes played in the second quarter. I thought those two guys, and I saw DJ mention this on Twitter, and I think he's absolutely right. They turned up the defensive intensity against Brandon Ingram in particular. And again, after a first quarter in which the Knicks couldn't do a blessed thing with Brandon Ingram, in the second quarter, Brandon Ingram did not make a field goal. He only took 3 field goals. He made none of them. The only points he got were from the free throw line. That's it. So they took the guy that was absolutely dominating in the first quarter. And it really was, I thought, a combined effort from all of New York's wings. Defensively, I think Bridges and OG were the guys that stood out the most, but not to be outdone, Josh Hart. Now, Josh Hart is where now we're going to move on to the third quarter of this game. So the Knicks, they take their big lead into halftime. They're up, but still a lot of game left to go. And there was maybe my favorite Josh Hart sequence of the year from a scoring perspective, because they come out and it's like, all right, it's going to be a slog this half. Like, we're prepared for this to be a long half. And then what does Josh Hart do? Top of the arc, 3-pointer, bang, nothing but the bottom of the net. Next possession down, Josh Hart, top of the arc, 3-quarter or 3-pointer, bang, nothing but the bottom of the net. And then he's getting ready to take his third consecutive 3-point shot from the top of the arc. And you know what's funny about when you start training threes from all over the court? People start guarding you. And Jakob Poeltl, all he did, was jut, one step in the wrong direction. Josh Hart dusted him, made the 2-point shot, got the and one. So Josh Hart, that was 9 points, nine points in a minute and 22 seconds. So, obviously there was a lot of game that happened after that. I think the Raptors got it down to, did they get it down to 12? They definitely got it down to 14. I don't know if they ever got it down to 12. In any case, they never got it below double digits. That push from Josh Hart at the top of the second quarter was really, I think, the most important stretch of the game. The second quarter was the most impressive performance of the game. That scoring stretch, that scoring burst from Josh Hart at the top of the third quarter was it made it a 24-point game. And did the Knicks from that point forward always care for that 24-point lead or that lead with the amount of love and support that we would have liked? Maybe not. But look, we're not asking the Knicks to be a perfect team, and they're not a perfect team. Maybe by May, God willing, June, they get there. They reach a higher level of perfection, or decrease their level of imperfection, I guess would be the better way to put it. But they did enough to win this one. And it really was a team effort. I think I shouted out all the starters throughout the monologue there. But even and I shouted out Tyler Kolek, obviously. But Jordan Clarkson, was there some bad Jordan Clarkson, especially particularly on the defensive end? Yes. But they needed minutes from Jordan Clarkson tonight. And they needed him to be productive. And he gave him 26 minutes. He was plus 10. So, do what you want with that. Again, individual game plus minus, throw it out sometimes. But there was a stretch in the third quarter where, again, we didn't quite know where the offense was going to come from. Jordan Clarkson scored 6 straight points. Those 6 points might get lost in the sauce when we go back and look back on this game, months from now. That was an important 6 straight points. Because it maintained the lead. It maintained the advantage, which is all that you wanted to do there. Talked about Kolek. Mitchell Robinson, look, Mitch is going to get killed for the free throw thing, and he should. You can't be a professional basketball player and shoot. Tonight it was 25%. And I think he increased his season-long percentage by going 2 for 8 tonight. He's also, this was, I think, another step back defensively. He was actually kind of neutralized on the offensive glass. He's working his way back. I think you just got to keep trusting that he's going to get there. Gershon Yabusele, not a ton of minutes, but again, I thought positive steps in the right direction for Gershon tonight, especially in the first half. I thought he gave them good minutes. So just from top to bottom, this is a really, really, really quality, solid win. Not looking for perfection. Is there stuff to complain about? There's always going to be stuff to complain about. But for the first time, the New York Knicks are in the NBA Cup semifinals. And I make fun of this tournament all the time. It's become something of a bit for me. It matters. If they had lost this game, if the Raptors had come out and with that first quarter, they had just kind of put their foot on the gas and the Knicks never recovered and they never made it a game, or if, God forbid, the Knicks went up big and then they allowed the Raptors to come back and come from behind and get the win, it would have been a dispiriting loss regardless of the cup situation. It would have meant more because there was this trip to Vegas on the line. So I can't sit here and be like, I would have killed them extra if they had figured out a way to lose this game, and not give them a little extra praise or a lot of extra praise for coming through with a win that, yes, puts them in the final 4 of this tournament. We'll see who comes out of the West bracket. Excited about both of those games to see, is it going to be the Lakers, the Suns, the Spurs, and oh yes, the Thunder, who maybe they don't want to lose another game this year. We'll see. I mean, any of those 4 teams, whoever it is, if the Knicks actually do make it to the finals, and will the Knicks make it to the finals? Well, we'll check in very briefly. We don't really do out of town scoreboards here anymore, but the Orlando Magic the Heat got off to a great start in that game in the first quarter. Magic fought all the way back, really turned the game, much like the Knicks turned the game in this second quarter. The Magic turned that game in their second quarter, and then Des Bane was just unconscious. Not quite on Jalen Brunson's level, but pretty close. He had 37 on 14 of 24 shooting, and the Magic just shot the lights out of the ball tonight. They were 47% from deep, 15 of 32. And if the Magic are hitting 47% of their threes, they're probably not going to lose, especially when the team that they're playing, Miami in this case, hit 24% of their threes. So now it's another one against Orlando. And yeah, they're not going to have Franz. And I've been very vocal about the fact that I do not think Paolo is on the same level as Franz Wagner as a player. He was okay tonight, 18 points. Like, he'll be ready. And the Magic are going to be ready. That's the thing. That Jamal Mosley is going to have those guys freaking keyed up. And they have a real team, and they're going to go 9 deep with real NBA guys. And if the Knicks don't have Deuce McBride, like, this is going to be a really tough freaking game. A really tough game. So I'm not going to sit here and make any predictions right now, especially with Deuce's health kind of up in the air. I think it's going to be a really tough one. I think even no Franz, I think this is going to be a really, really, really tough game. And I would be utterly shocked if this game did not come down to the wire. I would guess it's probably going to be a low scoring affair, although, you never know. I'm just noticing both the Knicks and the Magic tonight scored exactly 117 points. And both had a pretty dominant second quarter. So I don't know what that says. Maybe it says nothing. Knicks Magic for the 4th time with the right to go to the Cup Finals on Saturday. It should be one hell of a game. And I'm sure the Knicks are going to be ready for it. So we look forward to that.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.